Our text scripture tonight is coming from 2 Samuel chapter 10, verses 11 and 12. And it reads, "If the Syrians are too strong for me," I'm going to read it kind of slow. "If the Syrians are too strong for me, then you are to help me. But if the Ammonites are too strong for you, then I will help you." He says, "Be strong and let us fight bravely for our people and the cities of our God." And he said, "The Lord would do what is good in his sight." And tonight, I just wanted to make sure I start out by saying that there's a difference between fighting someone and fighting for someone. And so I'm going to use as a topic tonight, I'm not going to fight you, I'm going to fight for you. I'm not going to fight you, I'm going to fight for you. Put in the chat, I'm not going to fight you, but I'm going to fight for you. And that's so important in the season that we're in, that we can't be fighting each other. We have to fight for each other. See, you can stand on the same side of an issue and still end up fighting the person standing beside you. Same issue, same side, fighting each other. See, you can love God, you can love the church, you can love your family, you can love your ministry, and still get into battles with the people that God has assigned to stand beside you. When it comes to fighting, as a community of believers, God have assigned people to stand beside us in the fight. So God has assigned somebody to stand beside you to ensure your victory. God has assigned a group of believers to stand beside you. I don't know about you, but that's a wonderful thing to know, that no matter what you're experiencing right now in life, God has assigned somebody to stand beside you. Put it in the chat. God has assigned somebody to stand beside me. God has assigned somebody to stand beside me. And sometimes the enemy doesn't have to defeat us from the outside. All he has to do is to get us to turn on each other on the inside. See, the enemy understands something. He understands if I can get you fighting each other, then I don't have to fight any one of you. If he can get us to fight each other, then he doesn't have to fight us. And so the enemy knows that strategy, and he used that strategy very well. That's what Paul, he says in Ephesians chapter 6, verses 12, he says, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood." In other words, stop treating people like the enemy. And I'm going to unfold this tonight, but stop treating people like the enemy. Your spouse is not the enemy. Your brother is not the enemy. Your sister is not the enemy. Even your co-workers are not the enemy. The person that sits next to you is not the enemy. You're dealing with people who are wounded. You're dealing with people who are living under generational curse. You deal with people who are immature, but they're not the enemy. And you see, I can correct you without crushing you. I can disagree with you without dishonoring you. I can confront you without becoming your enemy. So in 2 Samuel chapter 10, it says, Israel was facing a serious problem. The Ammonites were on one side, the Syrians were on the other side. And Joab, the commander of David's army, he looks at the battlefield and he realizes, we cannot fight each other. So we have to come to that place and in the church. We have to come to that place in the local ministry. We have to come to that place in departments. We have to come to that place on the choir that we cannot fight each other. Put in the chat, we cannot fight each other, because what God has us to do with the assignment and the vision and the goal that he's given us to accomplish, we cannot fight each other. We have to fight for each other. We have to fight together. So Joab, he divides the army in 2 Samuel, and he takes some soldiers, and his brother Abishai, he takes the others. One group faces the Syrians, and the other faces the Ammonites. And then Joab, he says something that's so important. He says something that reveals the heart of the kingdom warfare. He says, if the Syrians are too strong for me, then you are to help me. If they're too strong for me, you are to help me. But if the Ammonites are too strong for you, then I will help you. We got to fight for each other. See, Joab didn't see Abishai as competition. He saw him as connection. Rather than fighting each other, we can't see each other as competition. We have to see each other as connection, because there's power in connection. And so tonight, I just want to remind you that we are connected. And when you're connected, you have power that you've never imagined before. You heard our senior pastor talking on Sunday about carrying the weight, how it's so easy that if we carry the weight as a group, it's easier than trying to carry the weight alone. So tonight, I just want to remind you that we are connected. We're a connected body of believers. So notice the spirit of the statement. Joab, he doesn't say, if you're overwhelmed, that's your problem. He didn't say that. He says, if you get overwhelmed, I'm coming. Put in the chat, I'm coming, I'm coming. If you get overwhelmed, I'm coming, because I'm not going to fight you, I'm going to fight for you. So if you get overwhelmed, I'm coming. And that should be our mantra in the church. That should be our mantra in our homes. That should be our mantra in relationship, that if you're overwhelmed, I'm coming. He doesn't say, I hope you lose. He says, if you're losing, I'm going to help you win. No matter what you're doing, when we're in a relationship, as a community, as a body of believers, as people who are connected, if you are losing, I'm going to help you win. That's why you belong to a body of believers. That's why we're in covenant relationship, because if it looks like you're losing, then our job as in connection, our job in relationship is to make sure I help you win. Put in the chat, I'm going to help you win. I'm going to help you win. Whatever you're facing right now, I'm going to help you win. That's my whole mission in life. I'm going to help you win. If you lose, I'm going to help you win. I'm coming. I'm coming. So he doesn't say, your battle isn't my business. You know how people say when you're experiencing some things or you're facing challenges, so it's not my business. But that's not what Joab, he says, he doesn't say your battle is not my business. What he says is your battle is important enough for me to participate. Whenever I see you going through something, whenever we see each other experiencing something, again, our mantra should be, your battle is important enough for me to participate. In other words, you never have to face anything alone. Why? Because we're on the same team. We're on the same team. We're in this together. We don't fight one another. We fight for one another. The first point I want to make tonight is discern the difference between the person and the battle. That's where we mess up. We don't discern the difference between the person and the battle. If we're going to be successful as a body of believers, we have to discern the difference between the person and the battle. See, the Bible says this in Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12. It says, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood." See, the first thing we have to learn is who is the real enemy. Whenever an issue shows up, you have to ask yourself the question, who is the real enemy? Because one of the enemy's greatest strategy is misidentification. If I can get you to misidentify the real problem, then I'll cause you to attack the person rather than address the problem. You see, a lot of people have been wasting time addressing the person without dealing with the problem. See, he wants you to identify the person as the problem, when the real problem is what influencing the situation. Whenever something shows up, you have to take some time to say, what is the real problem? What is the real enemy? So that you don't waste your time addressing the person and leaving the problem unresolved. So you have to find out what's influencing the situation. So you think you're fighting your husband. You think you're fighting misunderstanding. You think you're fighting your wife. You think you're fighting, but you're fighting unresolved hurt. You think you're fighting your child, but you're fighting generational patterns. And so you have to identify what is the real problem so that you don't waste your time addressing the person. And I'm not saying that you don't have to address issues, but you have to learn when you identify the problem, you know what weapon you have to use. So if you misidentify the enemy, you will use the wrong weapon. And a lot of us have been spending too much time using the wrong weapon because we've misidentified the enemy. So when you mistake a person for the enemy, you will destroy the very relationship that could have helped you defeat the real enemy. That's what happened when you misidentify or you mistake the person for the enemy. You'll destroy the very relationship that could have helped you defeat the real enemy. And see, that's real dangerous when you misidentify the real enemy. Because sometimes the person you've been fighting is a person God has intended to fight with you. You remember, God has assigned people to us. He's assigned people to us. But if we misidentify the problem and we mistake the person for the enemy, the person that God has assigned to help us defeat the enemy in certain areas, we will destroy that relationship. See, don't turn disagreement into war. Glory, don't turn disagreement into war. And the enemy have used so many of us for so long, turning disagreement into war. I heard the woman of God teach some time ago during Life Regina that disagreement does not mean disconnection. You got to get that tonight. You need to remind yourself that disagreement does not mean disconnection. Matter of fact, sometimes you need disagreement in order to be developed. But disagreement does not mean disconnection. Because when somebody disagree with you, it doesn't mean they don't love you. They're just disagreeing. And it does not mean disconnection. So do not turn disagreement into war. You see, the enemy wants friends to become foes. You got to get that tonight. The enemy wants friends to become foes. Think about it. The enemy doesn't always attack by bringing somebody new into your life. Sometimes he attacks by changing how you see somebody that's already in your life. He'll start to try to get you to say things like this. They don't appreciate me. They're against me. They think they're better than me. And suddenly, you're not responding to the person. You're responding to your interpretation of the person. But remember tonight, I'm not going to fight you. I'm going to fight for you. You see, the enemy doesn't always have to change the facts. Sometimes he just changes your perspective of a person. He don't have to change the facts. He changes your perspective of a person. But before you respond, when it comes to somebody, ask yourself the question, am I fighting the person or am I fighting the problem? And you have to ask yourself, what are we fighting together? See, that's a powerful question, because if the problem is the problem, then the person can become your partner in resolving the problem. See, don't attack the person when you should be attacking the problem. We got to learn to position ourselves like that. Don't attack the person when you should be attacking the problem. If you're in a department, don't attack the person, attack the problem. If you're on the choir, don't attack the person, attack the problem. Whatever place you find yourself serving in, if there's an issue, don't attack the person, attack the problem. Jesus, he modeled this when he was dealing with Peter. See, Jesus could confront Peter without rejecting Peter. Jesus could correct Thomas without abandoning Thomas. Jesus could challenge the disciples without counseling the disciples. Because correction and rejection are not the same thing. Correction does not mean rejection. So when you're corrected, don't receive it as rejection, because those are simply two different things. Some people think if you love somebody, you never confront them, and that's not biblical. Love sometimes confronts. Love always addresses. And so you don't shy away from dealing with issues. But when I come to you, I'm not addressing you, I'm addressing the problem. See, biblical confrontation has a different goal. The goal is to restore and not revenge. So when someone confronts you over an issue, it's not for revenge, but it's to restore. Whenever you address an issue, you're restoring a person into the position that they should be in. So when you confront someone, it's not revenge, it's restoration. And that's why it's so important that we learn to address problems on their appropriate level. Because when we address problem, the goal is restoration. See, kingdom people don't ask, how do I prove that you're wrong? They ask, how can I help you become whole? So when someone addresses a problem, the root of the problem, the root of the addressing is, how can I make you whole? How can I make you whole? Because if someone avoids addressing problems, they're not concerned with your wholeness. But if I address the problem, the question I'm asking is, how can I make you whole? That's fighting for somebody. The second point tonight is, stop measuring my strength by your weakness. Stop measuring my strength by your weakness. Let's look again at what Joab said in 2 Samuel. He says, if the Syrians are too strong for me, then you are to help me. But if the Ammonites are too strong for you, then I will help you. See, this is powerful because Joab, he acknowledges something that very few people will ever acknowledge. He says, sometimes I'm strong in one battle and weak in another battle. See, real strength is knowing when you need help. Real strength is knowing when you need help. Real strength is knowing when you need to ask for help. And see, Joab, he was a warrior, but he understood that, listen, when I need help, I need you to come in. I need you to come help me. But when you need help, I'm going to come and help you. See, you don't have to be strong everywhere. And you don't have to know everything. See, God did not put everything in you because he intended to put some things in somebody else. So we can't pretend to know everything. We can't pretend that we don't need help, because God did not put everything in us because he wanted to put something in somebody else. So God didn't put everything in us. Put in the chat, God put something in me. God put something in me. So you might have strength that somebody else don't have. You might see something that someone else can't see. You may have endured something that someone else cannot endure. You may have learned something that someone else haven't learned yet. And instead of being threatened by the differences, we should be strengthened by the differences. And that's why the Bible lets us know in 2 Corinthians, Paul says that the body is made up of many members. The hand isn't the eye isn't the foot isn't the ear. But every part has a function. So every part of the body is very valuable. That's why we can't fight each other. We need to be fighting for each other, because everyone has a different assignment. Everyone in the local church have a different assignment. Everyone in the department have a different assignment. Everybody have a different assignment. Our power is revealed through connection. See, unity does not require uniformity. We don't have to look alike to walk together. We don't have to think alike, think exactly alike, in order for us to have the same purpose. We just have to be connected and fight for one another. And we don't have to agree on everything to stand together on something, because our power is in our connection. Don't turn differences into disunity, because our power is in our connectivity. So don't turn differences into disunity. Sometimes the very thing that can make us stronger becomes the thing that divides us. When we get into competition, get into comparison, those things can divide us. But our whole thought should be, our whole mind frame should be, how can your gift help our mission? Rather than fighting each other, how can my gift help our mission? How can my gift help our mission? Why? Because if we don't focus on that connectivity, we won't reach where God has designed us to reach as soon as God has designed us to get there. We have to operate in the spirit of oneness. We have to operate in community, because I'm not fighting the person. I'm not fighting you. You're not fighting me. We're fighting for each other. That's our goal. We're fighting for each other. Galatians chapter 6, verse 2 says, carry each other's burden. The Bible doesn't say carry your burden alone. It says carry each other's burdens. That means there will be seasons when you carry somebody, and there will be seasons when somebody carry you. Don't be too proud to say, I need help. Don't be too proud when you're struggling to say, listen, I'm struggling. Don't be too proud to say, listen, I need you to pray for me. I need you to pray for me. If you don't know something, just say, I don't know it. Don't be too proud to say, I don't know. Sometimes your breakthrough is on the other side, or your willingness to let somebody stand beside you. Sometimes your breakthrough is in your willingness to let somebody stand on the side of you. So sometimes God sends people in your life not to admire your strength, but to cover your weakness. He sends people into your life not to admire your strength, but to cover your weakness. And sometimes God puts you in somebody else's life because you are the answer to the prayers that have not been spoken. You may be somebody's I'm coming. You may be the persons who helped them survive the battle. Point number 3, make the decision to fight for the relationship, not just win the argument. Joab says, he says, be strong and let us fight bravely for our people and the cities of God. Notice the word us. Not me, but us. See, us, when you speak in terms of us as in we, that's kingdom language. There's power in moving from what's best for me into what's best for us. When we learn to speak in terms of us and we, not just about me, but what's best for us. What's best for our ministry, not what's best for me. That's why it's so important that sometimes winning an argument means losing the relationship. You don't always have to win fighting each other. You don't always have to win an argument, because sometimes you can win an argument but lose a relationship. But that's why maturity asks a different question. Is being right worth destroying relationship? There are relationships that are unhealthy and requires boundaries. But I want you to notice something else in the text. Joab and Abishai aren't fighting the same army. They're fighting different enemies, but they're fighting for the same kingdom. We can be fighting different enemies, but we're fighting for the same kingdom. So we're not to fight each other, but we're to fight for one another. You have to determine in your own heart, I will not waste my strength fighting the wrong people. When people start acting crazy, you got to say, I will not waste my strength fighting the wrong people. I will not waste my strength fighting the wrong people. So tonight, I'm not going to fight you. I'm going to fight for you. That has to be our mantra. As God continues to advance us in ministry, as God continues to advance you in life and advance you in relationship, I will not waste my time and my strength fighting the wrong people, but I will address the problem.